Okay, I think we can go ahead and get started. So thanks, first of all, everyone for joining. This is Community Learning number 4 here at Lambda. This is a space where our members showcase their expertise. So as you know, we have many talented members in different areas. And the idea is to have them share their expertise so other members can learn from that. And that's value add for everyone. So today we have Marisha Lakhiani. She's an expert in marketing. She's actually the VP of marketing at Mindvalley. She's one of our few members in Asia. And she does a lot of consulting also. So thanks for joining, Marisha, and take it away.
Okay, let me share my screen. Thank you guys for showing up and spending your hour with me.
Thank you.
Okay, so why I chose to do this session? I chose to do this session because whether you're a consultant, whether you're a VP, whether you're head of any department, you can be a CEO, you're always going to be faced by this one challenge, which is what do I focus on that's going to give me the maximum impact? And a lot of times we all feel like we spent the quarter, we spent the year, we've done tons of things, but at the end of the day, when you look at the results, it's not where you wanted it to be. And the reason for that is because sometimes you spread yourself too thin and you focus on the wrong things. So this is to give you like the direction and a roadmap of what you should actually focus on to have actually get results with whatever you're trying to achieve in the quarter or the year. So my job at Mindvalley. So as Pedro introduced me, I am the VP of marketing at Mindvalley, but I recently got promoted to be Chief Growth Officer. And the reason for that is because of my ability to relentlessly focus on the right things, right? So my job at Mindvalley has been to grow the company 40 to 50% year on year, which I've been doing consistently for the last 5 years. But the way I do it is very unique because I don't just focus on top line revenue growth. I focus on operational efficiency. Now, what does that mean? That means I need to literally do the right thing at the right time all the time. Because at Mindvalley, we actually don't have funding. So whatever revenue I generate is the revenue we have as a company to pay the bills, to hire staff, to get the experts, all of those things, which is a lot of pressure, right? And that's why this is important, because sometimes we think about just growth and revenue, but what we forget sometimes is how to scale in an optimized, sustainable way. And the way to do that is to make sure that you're focusing on the 20% of stuff that's going to give you the 80% of results, right? So the 80-20 rule. The 80-20 rule really suggests that if you focus on the right 20%, you'll be able to deliver the right results at the end of the day. And if you think about all the metrics you have to measure now, even if you're a consultant, imagine you're going into a business and they're like, give me results. I want results fast. I want to show results fast. How do you know where to focus? How do you know what is the lever to pull? So literally in all the metrics that you have to measure, there's only 2 metrics that really deliver the most results, which a lot of people forget or neglect, which is your cost of acquiring a customer and your lifetime value of a customer. And if you focus on these 2 metrics, you can exponentially scale your business, right? Now, the healthy ratio for this is that your lifetime value should be 3 times your cost of acquiring a customer. So if your lifetime value is $3,000, then you can play with $1,000 to acquire a customer. So that's like a golden rule of thumb. So I'm going to introduce myself for like a little minute. So I work as the VP of marketing. I recently got promoted. So I'm now Chief Growth Officer at Mindvalley. My job is to grow, again, the company sustainably year on year, 50%. And we have 0 funding. So literally, if I'm not paying the bills, no one is, right? I also started an agency recently. So I have an agency called Multiplier. And I do this with other businesses. So I've seen this happen time and time again, where businesses come to me and they're like, oh my God, I want results now, fast growth now. And they're focusing on so many, and it's not even rocket science. They're just focusing on the wrong things. They're trying to do everything, but they don't have a clear roadmap of what they need to deliver to actually hit these numbers. So at Mindvalley, I've helped the business grow to 17 million students worldwide. We're in 192 different countries. I've localized to 6 different languages. Last year, we achieved 120 million in revenue, and we're a subscription business, so it's all recurring revenue. So it's been a really good growth journey, right? And it's not hard to achieve. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It's literally not hard to achieve. there is a formula. If you just stick to the formula, you'll get there. So the two most important metrics is your cost of acquiring a customer and your lifetime value of a customer. And if you focus on this, there's no way you can't hit your numbers. So I'm going to go deeper, and I'm actually going to share with you the tactics that you can use. And if you just use this as a checklist for this year, you're going to see exponential growth. So what is your cost of acquiring a customer? So your cost of acquiring a customer is measured by your total marketing cost. So this total marketing cost involves your headcount, your operations, your ad spend, like all of that, your total marketing cost divided by the number of customers you acquired in that period. So that's your CAC, right? Now, the truth is that your CAC has grown 60% in the last 5 years. And the painful truth is it's going to grow probably 100% in the next 5 years. So if you are not actively looking at how you can bring this number down and optimize this number, you are basically going to acquire a lot less customers in the years to come, right? There's also ways to do it, which I'm going to get into. But you can think about how to, for example, I spend a lot of money on advertising. So I also measure my CAC on my advertising CAC separately from my total CAC, because this gives me a pulse check on how efficient I am in my advertising initiatives, right? So you can even measure CAC per channel, per initiative. But ideally, you need to measure your cost of acquiring customer. You need to have that as your one of your North Stars, right? Now, your CAC. Something to know about your CAC is that you're going to compare your CAC to other people's CAC, and it's different. So every business has a different benchmark for their CAC, and it's totally understandable. It really comes down to the funnel. So, for example, if you have a longer sales cycle, a longer funnel where there's attrition, so you're converting visitors to leads to customers. You have multiple touch points where your sales team is talking to your customers, and they have 3, 4, 5 calls. Your CAC is going to increase, and that is you have to accept, right? But if it's still 1/3 of your LTV, then you're good to go. That's your willingness to pay, right? But if you're able to shorten that sales cycle, you are able to drop your CAC. So, for example, for me, my CAC is like my lifetime value is like $600-700, and my CAC is like under $200, and I'm able to optimize it because my customers buy from my ad like on day one. There's no sales cycle. There's no multiple touch points. It's literally day one. So if you can start squeezing up your sales cycle, you can actually start dropping your CAC. So these are 5 ways that you can optimize your CAC that you can use as a checklist, so that if you're helping clients, if you're trying to do this for your own business, this is just your guiding principles, right? So the first is organic revenue. Like, I can't tell you how many businesses I've spoken to where I ask them what their ratio from organic to paid is, and they tell me that their paid is 90% of their total revenue. 70, 80, 90%. So they're not dependent. They're so dependent on advertising that if the advertising CPMs fluctuate at any point, you're basically inefficient as a business, right? And I can tell you a horror story that happened to me 2 years ago, right? And it's literally a true story, which was like, I don't know how I came out of it. It was crazy. So 2 years ago, iPhone released the whole Apple released an iOS 14 update, right? And Mindvalley had this whole masterclass model, which was slightly longer sales cycle. It would take like 14 days for a customer to buy, and we would basically show them like a demo of the product. They would watch this whole training video, and then they would buy from the training video. And we were using this model for 14 years and A/B testing and working on and refining this model. But when the iOS 14 update hit, the return on ad spend for that model went from like 200-300% to 40%. So we were basically bleeding money daily on this advertising model. And I had to like shut off all my campaigns one by one. And I literally saw all my numbers go down like this, like steep graph down, like collapsing. Okay. Kind of like the Bitcoin numbers, kind of like that. And we were just like in a state of panic and shock. Like, how do we recover from this? Because this is not a trend. This is literally the new normal, right? And we literally had to come up with a whole new advertising model in the span of 6 months that was even more efficient, that brought like even lower CAC than the original one. And we managed to pull that off. We managed to do that. It took 6 months to turn the whole ship around. But the truth is that the only way we were able to do that is because we had a 70% organic buffer. And if we didn't, there was no way we were surviving. We would just be bleeding through the money in the bank, right? So this is something to really pay attention to, that you never know what will happen, and you need to always have this buffer, which is why 70-30 ratio is a very healthy ratio for any organization. The second important reason why you need to get on organic is because no matter who your customer is, no matter, even if you're working with a company, no matter who their customer is spending 147 minutes on social media. Like everyone is. So the best way to communicate with these people is where they are, where they're spending time, where they're engaging, right? Another fun stat that a lot of people don't know about is that customers spend 75% of customers actually check out Instagram, LinkedIn before they even buy with you. So they're using social media as a validation point. So if someone tells you, if your team tells you, if your client tells you, yeah, followers is a vanity metric, don't worry about that. It's a vanity metric. Is it really though? Because your customers, 75% of them are literally going to go to social media and check and see, like, do I want to buy with this person or do I not? And I did this, so I read the stat, I got really fascinated. I did this, my own study within Mindvalley. So I surveyed my customers, and I kid you not, 95% of them said they went to our social media, our Instagram, before they bought. And they wanted to see the reviews and the comments. So building an organic presence and actually making sure you're building that social proof is critical for today's business, right? And you don't actually have to focus on all the channels. Like, I know there's so much and it's crazy. Like, I don't think it even makes sense to focus on all the channels, but you need to find the one channel that makes the most sense for your audience, your business, and then focus on that, right? So for Mindvalley's case, it's always going to be Instagram and YouTube, and we're always going to focus on video content because that's what we do really well. But for some of my clients, it's LinkedIn. It's not even Instagram or Facebook. They don't even have that. They don't even have Twitter. They don't need to have it because it's LinkedIn, you know? So you got to figure out what is suitable for you and focus on that. The next thing, which I'm a huge advocate for, is growth loops. So what are growth loops? Growth loops are a way for existing customers to bring in new customers to your business. And what this does is it creates a self-sustaining cycle of growth. So now imagine you're paying $200 to acquire a customer from an ad, but you can create a growth loop within your business for a customer to refer in another customer. Basically, your CAC drops to half. So this is how you can build a sustainable business, right? So an example of a growth loop is what Trello does. So Trello, when you create a Trello board and you share it with a team, and you can do this as a consultant, and you say that I want to manage my whole project on Trello, I'm going to share this with my client. You basically have got 5-6 other people on Trello. And that's how Trello grows. It grows by creating a growth loop where existing customers refer in new customers. Now, I've done growth loops for Mindvalley multiple ways. So for example, when someone joins a class, they can invite friends to a class, and 40% of my leads are generated from people referring new leads to a class. And then there's also ways where if you like a program, you can send a 30-day guest pass to a friend to join the program with you. So there's multiple ways to create growth loops. So think about how it can make sense for your client or for your business, and then you can basically create an autopilot way for customers to refer other customers in. The next is referrals. So referrals are similar to growth loops, but referrals are an incentivized way, right? So if you think about like any e-com, any shopping website, they usually say, if you refer a friend, if a friend buys, we'll give you and your friend 25% off, you and your friend $100 off, you know? So this is where both parties get rewarded, right? So how do you do an effective referral program? There's 3 things you need to pay attention to build an effective referral program. So the first thing is that the referral program cannot feel like an afterthought. It has to feel integrated in the journey. It needs to feel organic. So what is the right point to ask for a referral? Don't ask for a referral if someone never bought anything from you. Ask for a referral after they've bought the first product and they've received the first product and they're happy with it, right? Or after they've given a review or something like that. But you need to bake it into the point where it makes the most sense, right? The second is you need to give a benefit to both. So a referral won't work if only one person is incentivized. So the person referring and the referrer and the referee both have to be incentivized. So that's why like the one of the most successful referral programs is like Dropbox, right? When I share Dropbox to someone else, and if they get it as well, both of us get like extra space in our Dropbox. So both people need to be rewarded or it doesn't work. And the third is it needs to be super easy for them to refer. Don't make it 20,000 steps. Don't make it where I have to leave my email, create a profile, then share it, and then I have another email that comes into my inbox, and then I need to write a whole copy to my friend. Don't make it so complex. should be so easy for them to refer that the copy is auto-populated. I just have to click one button. I just have to share it directly to Facebook or Instagram, like super simple. The fourth thing is A/B testing. Like A/B testing, if you guys are not running at least 10, 20 tests a week, you're seriously behind, because companies, like big companies, they're running 500 to 1,000 tests. Like at any given point, each of my team have like 10, 20 tests going on, right? A/B testing is a huge way to actually improve the conversion rates and efficiency of your lifetime value and your cost of acquiring a customer. Now, the thing with A/B testing is that a lot of times when I speak to businesses, I find that they A/B test, but they A/B test incorrectly. And when you A/B test incorrectly, what you end up doing is creating a false positive or a false negative, and then you tend to roll out a test that's actually bullshit. So very important to think about how you're testing. Now, a couple of checkpoints to think about is, firstly, when you're A/B testing, you need to figure out what is the sample size I need for this test. So how many people do you need in this test to validate if this test is going to be actually a positive or a false positive? And there's online calculators that will tell you what your sample size should be like. So for example, don't run a test with five or 10 people that have gone through your test. And even if you have a positive or negative, it's 5 people. It could be a fluke. You know, it needs to be a substantial sample size. Second is the duration of the test, right? So the duration of the test is also really important. For example, if you have an e-com, now you're going to have different kinds of customers buying from you on a Monday and different kinds of customers buying for you on a Saturday. So if you just run your test from Monday to Wednesday, you're basically not factoring in all the different types of customer behaviors and audiences you have. So you need to run your test for a sales cycle. So usually it's Monday to Monday, or 2 Mondays out. So you need to think about the time frame for that test. And last but not least is you need to make sure that size, duration, sample size, and you need to make sure that you are actually building a hypothesis, right? So for example, when you test, you run a test because you're like, there's these 2 options, these 2 ideas that I have, but like I want to test how these 2 ideas work out. So let me create 2 variations and let me test them against another. But that's not it. First, you need to understand what is the metric I'm optimizing for and what is my hypothesis. So my hypothesis is that if I were to add a countdown timer to the page, I will be able to increase my conversion rate by 10%. So you need to have a start with a hypothesis, because otherwise you're probably running the test for the wrong reasons or the wrong metric, and you don't actually have you won't actually end up with the results that you were looking to have, right? So just to recap on A/B testing, you need to have a hypothesis and a key metric that you're optimizing it for. You need to pre-calculate, even before you run the test, you need to pre-calculate the sample size and the duration of the test. This is to ensure that you actually have a positive and not a false positive or a false negative. Next is partnerships and affiliates. So partnerships and affiliates are an amazing way to scale. And if you're not using this strategy right now, I think you should consider using it. So how partnership programs work is basically that you pay for the actual sale. So you can build a program, you can build an affiliate program, you can reach out to tons of affiliates in the market. But the whole game of this is that you're leveraging someone else's list to get customers, and you're only paying them when you have a successful sale. So you have nothing to lose, literally nothing to lose, right? And a great example of this is like, I think the most infamous partnerships is like GoPro. If you think of GoPro and Red Bull, like GoPro is a brand that constantly leverages partnerships. So they look at the companies that are targeting the same avatar, and they build partnerships with them, and they leverage each other's list. And these are super easy to do. So for example, Mindvalley partnered with different airlines and has Mindvalley content all over different airlines. And so many people discover us because they flew on this airline. But it helps us filter out our ideal audience, because our ideal audience are people that are well-traveled, are people that are global. They are people that are learning tons of things. They are accepting of different cultures. So that's a different kind of partnership. I also have health and fitness products, and I partner with Circle DNA. So there's tons of brands that you can partner with. So think about your ideal audience. Think about another brand that's going after your ideal audience, and see how you can leverage each other's list, because you guys already built the list. So you might as well leverage it, right? So that's what cost of acquiring a customer. Now comes lifetime value of a customer. So lifetime value of a customer ideally it's how much and how frequently your customer spends with you in their lifetime. So are you able to not only acquire them and get them to increase their average basket value, but are you able to bring them back again and again and again for repeat business? So that's basically your lifetime value. Now, there's tons of ways to grow your lifetime value, tons of ways. I'm going in this session, I'm literally going to cover 10 of them. The first one is becoming a subscription. Okay, so you have to ask your client, ask yourself, can my business be a subscription? A subscription is so valuable because what you're doing is you're creating recurring revenue for your business. So now the same customer, instead of spending $200 in a transactional, will spend $200 every year with you if you're able to give them value every year, right? So a great example of this subscription business is Adobe. So I don't know how many of y'all are familiar with Adobe, but in 2012, Adobe decided to pivot to a subscription business model. Okay, before it pivoted, Adobe's lifetime value was $1,400. Okay, pretty substantial, $1,400. When they pivoted to they have a new subscription called, the cloud service subscription. When they pivoted in 2019, so that's just a few years out, their lifetime value was $10,000. It's probably $20,000 now, maybe more. So subscription has that ability to drive up your lifetime value. So an example of Mindvalley, that how we pivoted to subscription was that we were selling independent courses, right? And at that time, our lifetime value for a customer was like $200-$300, because a customer, if you think about natural behavior of buying an online course, someone buys an online course, maybe they do it, maybe they don't do it, then they will disappear for a while, and then maybe a year later they'll come back. They're like, I want to do that other course, because they buy courses from different places. Not everyone does a course every month or every 3 months, right? It's not a consistent habit. Like usually people drop off. So what we did is we wanted to increase our lifetime value. So we decided, like, what if we just give all our courses as a buffet for a standard price. So if we know that our lifetime value is like $200-$300, say $300. If our subscription product was like $500, then we already increase our lifetime value, but this is a subscription now. So we can grow our lifetime value in the years to come, but we basically convert everyone into a subscription at the first go. And literally we launched a subscription, and within a year, our lifetime value was $500. So there's ways to do this, and it's constantly growing. Every year, our lifetime value will continue to increase and continuing to increase as we're retaining users, right? So if you think about it, like the most important thing that you can do for your business is really think about how can you convert it into a subscription business model. Next is upsells. So upsells are also a really great way to sell more products to an existing customer. So this also helps to grow your lifetime value. A really great example of this is Amazon. So Amazon does upsells really well. If you try to check out any product on Amazon, you're going to notice that it always recommends to you like other products that you can buy that are probably better versions of the existing products. So even if you go to buy like an Apple iPhone, they'll always recommend like you can get this version, or you can get like the highest spec version for this price. So they're always trying to push you into spending a little more by giving you a little more value, right? So this is a great way to do an upsell. Then there's downsells. So this is like when someone doesn't want to buy your upsell, offer them a stripped down version of the product. So examples, you're offering them that they can buy like a high spec gadget, and they say, no, I don't want to spend it on the high spec gadget. So offer them like a trimmed down version that maybe has not the whole spec, but something slightly less, but at a lower price, right? So downsells is also a great way to drive lifetime value of a customer. Cross-sell. So cross-sells are basically complementary products, right? So, and Amazon uses this really well. So if you go to Amazon, you're going to see like someone who's buying a camera, Amazon will not miss the opportunity to sell them like a card, like a memory card, battery pack, carry case, all of these things. So think about ways that you can also cross-sell customers, and you don't have to cross-sell at the time of purchase. You can cross-sell down the line. So like in Mindvalley, I sell my subscription, but I also have other products that I cross-sell all throughout the year to make sure that they buy that. And there's different price points. There's price points from like $200 to $3,000. And we're constantly trying to cross-sell these products to our customers. Next is order bumps. So order bumps are a very easy way to increase your average order value at the time of sale, right? So on your checkout, you add a little bump, like a little add-on. And you can do this for, usually order bumps are a low price point. So they're just a way to bump up that extra $20, $30, $50. So think about a company that's doing like selling yoga gear or like a yoga mat. Okay, so if you're buying a yoga mat, a great order bump could be the yoga brick, the brick that people used to do with the yoga mat, or yoga straps when they're traveling. So all of these things are things that complement the sale, but they're a low price point, and most customers won't even think about it. They're like, oh yeah, this is useful, and then they just add it to their cart because it's another 10, 20, 30, 40, $50. Next is email flows. So funnily enough, a lot of people are not aware of this, but auto-generated emails, so automated. So there's two types of emails. There's campaign emails, which are non-auto-generated, where you're literally setting up a promo campaign, and then there's auto-generated. So auto-generated are like your welcome emails, your cart abandonment, product category, like the emails that you set up on autopilot. These actually are able to generate 320% more revenue than non-auto-generated emails. But the truth is that we just neglect it. We just treat it as automated emails, and we just set it up and just let it be. But these emails have the highest open rates. So when you're sending a campaign, usually your open rates will be half or less than half of these emails. So if you have these emails set up, like cart abandonments, welcome, congratulations, like all of these emails, think about how you can utilize them to grow your LTV or to make a referral recommendation. Use them strategically. Don't just leave them as standard transactional emails, because these are powerful emails, right? And the most opened email in your whole toolkit is going to be your welcome email. So the most brands just treat their welcome email as like a standard email. But in that email, you can use it as an opportunity to cross-sell, upsell, downsell, upgrade, downgrade, any one of those things. Next is campaigns. So campaigns are the non-automated kind of emails, right? So these are like your Black Friday, your promo, your Valentine's Day, your seasonal, your product launches, like all of the emails that you're planning and strategizing and you're sending out to your list. Now, when you're creating these emails, when you're creating promo emails, there's two triggers that they're gonna skyrocket your conversion rates, right? So the two triggers is making sure you have urgency and scarcity. Okay. When you're sending promo emails, if you don't have urgency and scarcity, you're basically sending half-baked emails, okay? So what is urgency and scarcity? Urgency is that having some sort of a deadline. So when you have a Valentine's Day promo or you have a Black Friday promo, you need to hound them on the deadline of that promo. So 24 hours, 48 hours, 3 days, ends on 3rd April. Having a deadline is super important. So that's the first thing. Next thing is scarcity. Limited time left, limited spots, the first 100 people. Making it scarce is going to really skyrocket the effectiveness of your promo campaigns. And this could mean like 30, 40, 50% more revenue from those campaigns. The next is upgrade and downgrade. So upgrades and downgrades basically are a way to give your consumer the ownership or like the flexibility on how to use your product, right? So there are a lot of times when maybe like in the case of ClassPass, I'm going to use ClassPass as an example because they're a really great example. And they were struggling, right? So they were struggling with retention because what they were finding is people just pausing or canceling their membership, right? So what they did is they created a lot of variations and created this upgrade and downgrade options, right? And they realized that this impacted their churn significantly. And they never really revealed the numbers, so I don't actually have the numbers. But in one of the interviews with their CMO, they said that this was one of their game-changing marketing strategies, because what it did is that when customers are traveling, or sometimes they're tight on cash, or whatever the reason is, maybe they have an injury, or maybe life gets in the way, right? By giving your customers that flexibility of saying that you don't have to cancel, you can upgrade to what's the name of the example? ClassPass. ClassPass is the name of the company. So it gives you a way to say like, okay, so this month I'm a power user, I can upgrade to more classes. Next month, I'm not going to consume that much, I'm going to downgrade. So it gives the members the flexibility to choose how much they want to engage with you and how much they want to consume, as opposed to canceling and churning and leaving, So think about that. How can I upgrade? So people are willing to pay more and want to be power users and love your brand. Is there a higher, more valuable option I can give them? So get them to pay more with me. So an example of this could be like, and I'll give you an example of online learning, right? And you can, in the Q&A, you can ask me for your business, but I'll give you an online learning. So maybe like right now I'm creating an upsell for people that want to do the online courses, but they need the accountability and want to do it with a coach. So now you can do the online courses with a coach, and that's an upsell. And if you don't want to do that, there's a downsell where you can do a trimmed down version where you actually don't have to do the whole thing. You can probably do 1 or 2 classes, and you can try it out, like a skim down light version. So people that are curious but not really sure they want to engage, and they need to have a quick win before they decide. Next is loyalty and retention. So loyalty and retention is in a really effective strategy, because what this does is it helps you create power users. So you're rewarding your users for consumption, and this helps you create power users. So rewarding your users for the amount of times they purchase with you, for the amount of times they consume, for the amount of referrals that they get, for all of those things, helps your users feel recognized and helps to build brand loyalty and affinity. So thinking about how you can integrate a retention and loyalty tool within your organization is going to be super critical for growth. Then comes bundles. So I use this example of Harry's because it's such a great example. So what does bundles do? Bundles basically make it super easy for your customer by bundling up complementary products into one offering and stripping down the whole like cognitive load of having to buy from different places and solve different problems, right? So what you're doing right now with a bundle is you're cross-selling. So you're cross-selling. Someone might go there and say like, okay, I want an aftershave. And then you're like, oh, why don't you just buy this bundle for a discounted price? But you've cross-sold all the things in one decision, right? You've cross-sold all the other products. Now, why Harry's works so well is because if you think about the man, so Harry's is like a men's care product. It caters to men. What is the man's number one decision-making process? It's like simple, straight up simple. Don't complicate it. Just give me one thing that I can choose from, and don't try to sell me 20. I don't need to make 20 decisions. I need to make one decision. So it's convenience, right? So what Harry's does is like they give you the simple set, then they have like a more advanced set, the travel kit. So they try to bundle it up so that it just makes it easier for men. Men get everything in one place. They can buy it as a subscription even. So every time this can get sent to their house, all about convenience. So think about that for your customer and think about how can you create a bundle for them that makes it more convenient for their target market, their buying style. There's a lot of brands that are doing bundles right now. It's crazy what I'm seeing. So for example, there's a brand in the US called Cuts. Cuts does bundles of menswear as well, but it's like travel gear. So like 3 t-shirts as a bundle, a t-shirt, shorts, and a jacket as a bundle. So you can just buy the whole set as a bundle because they do very like minimalist clothing lines, right? So people wear that when they travel, they wear that when they're sorry, I'm gonna admit this person. So that, and then you can also do bundles for like if you're catering to women. So how do women like to shop, right? Women like 3-step, 5-step skincare routine, or when they're going to supermarket, they need to buy like household stuff, and they probably want to get like all of this, like the cleaner, the dishwasher, blah blah blah, in one bundle, right? So think about your avatar and think about how can you make it so convenient that you can actually cross-sell and build a bundle for your products. So that's a recap. So that's literally the end of the presentation. So ideally, I want you to understand is that scaling a business is not complex. The mistake that we all make is we focus on trying to do too many things, spreading ourselves too thin, and not focusing on the 20% of the efforts that are going to deliver 80% of the results. And the 2 metrics that you should actually be focusing on is your cost of acquiring a customer and your lifetime value, because the whole game of scaling a business is to bring the cost down and lifetime value up and scale. So if you focus on these 2 metrics, I promise you're going to have results by the end of the year. I also write a newsletter. So I write a newsletter weekly about growth hacking, optimizing CAC. I do brand teardown. So basically I do teardown of brands like IKEA, Uber, Glossier, like what they do right, what they do wrong. So if you want to join my newsletter, you can subscribe to it. It's free. And that's it. So I'm ready to take questions.
Thank you, Marisha. I think there's a first question on the chat,
Yeah.
and that is, what's your recommendation on bundles against discount ratio?
What? I don't understand it. So what do you mean by discount ratio?
Can I talk?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, hi Marisha. I was just thinking about it. When you do bundles, you actually sacrifice some of the revenue or the return of each product. So what's better? What's the ratio? If you want to do a bundle, you should think about probably not going operate on the 15-20% on the each product or the bundle itself. So what's better, to do a discount, to do a bundle, or what's the ideal ratio between bundles or discounts?
Okay, so the way to look at it is like this, right? So if you were to sell, example, can you give me a product that you're currently selling? Or just, okay,
Well,
general?
I'm selling professional services like consulting. So if I wanted to pick in a bundle, like having 4 hours, 2 sessions, private sessions, whatever, I need to think about what's better or what's the ratio before making a bundle, the decision to make a bundle, and say, okay, it's better to give a discount, because if I do a bundle, probably if I start selling a lot of bundles, I'm losing money, instead of just doing a discount that probably drives scalability or more product sales.
Right. Okay, so I guess you have to think about your ideal avatar, right? So think about your ideal avatar and what is the problem they're trying to solve. So I actually don't think a lot of businesses should be giving discounts constantly, because you're just devaluing your offering, right? It's basically saying that you're basically telling your customer, I'm not sure if I'm able to deliver a value, so I'm giving you a discount so that we can see how this goes, right? But as a bundle, what you're actually saying, and where you can discount as a bundle, saying that I'm going to give you more value for this price. So in that bundle, you have to be strategic about what you're placing in. So maybe the bundle includes like a complementary thing. An example of this would be, I'm trying to think of a good example. So if you think about hours, right? So in a bundle, you shouldn't just give more hours. In the bundle, maybe you want to give an audit. So an audit could be worth $5,000, where I'm going to spend time with your company doing an audit of your metrics. I'm going to do an audit of your dashboards. I'm going to do audit. So it's like more value, not more of the same product. So I would do it something like that, where it's like complementary. Don't think about the same product bundled up as a discount, because you're actually not giving any more value and you're devaluing what your current offering. Think about complementary and how you can bundle that up together. So I'll give you an example of my B2B offering, right? So when I sell B2B to different organizations, and you basically, the core offers, you buy a license and you get a license to Mindvalley. So if you have 10 people in your organization, you get 10 licenses to Mindvalley, right? So access to the membership. So I created a bundle, but my bundle doesn't have 20 licenses for the price of 10. My bundle has 10 licenses, which is the core price, but I will give you a 3-day live audit seminar, which is worth $30,000 as part of the bundle. So what this does is that it's designed to do is that audit will give the employees a roadmap on what to do with my subscription. So it solves a problem. You get what I mean? Instead of me just selling your subscription and saying, here, go figure it out, and then the employees don't even consume it, they're a little confused, they're like, where do I start? I solve that problem by giving them this 3-day workshop where I'm going to sit with their employees, come up with a roadmap, tell them what to focus on. This is your areas of growth, blah, blah, blah. And then say, these are the quests you should be doing. Now carry on. So this not only helps my retention, not only helps build trust, not only helps build a relationship, not only helps activate my customer, but then also bundles it all up as an offer, right? And I don't have to give it free. It's not like the Lifebook Retreat is free. I can charge for it, but I'll probably charge cost price.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Hey, thanks for the chat, Marisha. That was very interesting. I had a question actually around the payback periods, in particular around subscription businesses, because like obviously, you know, you have a model for LTV to CAC in that scenario, but you don't have all the information up front. And in particular, when you're playing with different marketing channels and that mix, that can skew, you know, that customer base in different directions. So I guess I was wondering, how you deal with that uncertainty and make sure that you're not like degrading the quality of that revenue that you're acquiring, because, you know, the behavior might be slightly different with a higher willingness to pay, but lower, you know, retention or whatever in that scenario.
Yeah, so that's a great question, because I always have these debates with my executives, because they're like, yeah, but your payback period. And I was like, my payback period is 1 day. But then if you go to like brands like Snowflake, their payback periods are 12 months. So there's actually no right and wrong. It really comes down to the lifetime value, right? So if your lifetime value, so maybe Snowflake's lifetime value is like 50K. So they can afford to have a 12-month payback period. So it really comes down to your lifetime value. And then what is your appetite? You know, so your appetite could be 3 months, could be 4 months, maybe you're okay waiting 6 months. It really comes down to that, right? But if you find you're not able to grow your lifetime value, or lifetime value is not significant and your cost is super high, then I would recommend trying to cut down your payback period as narrow as possible, because it also comes down to if you have funding, right? So for example, I don't have funding. So for me, every dollar in is dollar out, and I have to be very agile with how much I'm spending. I can't delay waiting for a sale to happen. I need to know at least within 30 days. So I look at 30-day window. But it really comes down to like your lifetime value, what's your appetite for risk, all of those kind of factors.
Makes sense. That makes sense. Thanks.
Yeah. So I would try. I mean, by no way your payback period should be more than 12 months. If you can't recover the money in 12 months, that means your business model is not efficient for sure. So try to bring it down. But you can probably play with 30 days to like 3 months, 6 months, depending on, again, your lifetime value.
I have a question, everyone.
Hi.
Thank you for all the great info. You were great. My question is it has to do a little bit on the referral side. I had some questions on the referral side, but I just want to focus on a question that my startup has been struggling a lot with lately, and it has to do with free stuff. So we have a subscription program to advertise heavy equipment online. That's our business. And for our initial phase, we started giving away free subscriptions for 1 month, 2 months. And we took that away from them. But trying to get some more organic flow inside our website, we started to bring that back on for some key and strategic customers. But how do you know it's been enough? Like it's time for everyone to pay, and you need to put that mark set clearly in a phase, or maybe you just have to understand what phase in your funnel your customer is in to actually understand that it's been enough.
Yeah. So you have to. So this is a really tricky question, because I experienced the same. So for example, like in Mindvalley, I have so much free content online, like so much. So if you go to YouTube, you're going to consume tons. You actually don't need to get a subscription, because you're going to learn tons by just going to my YouTube. But the truth is, how do I show them that there's a differentiated value, right? So you need to figure out a way to differentiate the value. So what is the value the subscription offers, and how can you give them a teaser of the value with your free item? And don't mess both up. And you need to make it really clear when they're even getting the free item that this is a taster of what they're going to get at the end of the day. So like when you go to a fine dining restaurant, they always give you like a sampler, right? Like a small little amuse-bouche that just gives you just enough, but preps you for like the whole main, right? So you need to figure that out, because a lot of times like you haven't actually set the expectations clearly with the free item. So you give away a lot of free items and you're like, free, go download this. But then you're in their brain, they're just getting something free. They have no intention to even convert later. But if you sell them on the actual value of the subscription and say, if you're not ready to do this, this is a free option for you. And like, try this out. This is going to give you like one result or a taste of what it could look like. It's different way the customer thinks about it. So in my specific scenario, so I'm building a freemium model, right? So what we do is we have online courses. Each course solves a specific pain point for the user. So the pain point could be like, I want to lose weight, I want to sleep better, I want to build more muscle. There's like 128, okay? Now my freemium, how do I build my freemium? I'm not going to give them 30 days to consume everything and decide if it's for them. It's overwhelming. They won't consume anything. So what I'm doing is I'm telling them, choose one specific goal. I will give you a 7-day mini program on that specific goal. And I ask them, do you see results before? Do you see results after? And then if they see results after, I'm like, okay, so if I can do this for you in 7 days, can you imagine what I can do for you in 365 days? And then I tell them, like, if you join this program, you have access to all of these things. So that whole journey cannot just be free. It needs to be crafted in a way where you're making super clear that you're getting a stripped down version. and this is how you're qualifying them. And then what is the next step for them after that free version? And you cannot give value for like so long, like 30, 60, 90 days. It has to be stripped down, because for some people, like the more time you give them, the more time they take. So for, like, an example of this is like trials, right? 14-day trials don't work as well as 7-day trials, because when you give someone 14 days to think, they will think at the very last minute. If you give someone 7 days to think, they will think within the 7 days, right? I hope that answers the question. I need more details.
It does. I mean, reducing the time period definitely makes a total difference. I was thinking in months, and only months.
Yeah.
And so it's way too long.
Yeah, so you got to reverse engineer it. So be like, okay, so what is the pain point that they have? What is the quickest value I can show them in the first 7 days, or even 30 days, depending on how long it takes for decision making? And how can I show them the value? And how can I have a segue to them saying that I gave you this value, now it's time for you to upgrade? So once you engineer it like that, it changes the way of you just giving away free things, trying to get leads, right? Because it's not about leads, it's about qualified leads.
Yeah, total sense. Thanks.
Thank you, Marisha. Any last questions? Seems like there isn't.
I'm happy to go if there's none others. Thanks, Marisha, again for the chat. On the topic of monetary-driven referral programs, right? This is always like something that can easily get out of hand in terms of burn. Also, like there's a lot of potential fraud coming in. I was just wondering if like any, high-level pointers on how to structure these programs to avoid this, general pointers and structuring referral programs so it doesn't get out of hand.
I think there's actually a lot of tools for this. So if you look at tools, there's actually a lot of tools. I can't remember the one that I was going to sign up with, but they actually have like fraud detection baked within the tool. So maybe you want to just find a tool that can support it. And then again, engineer it in a way where you're getting more value, not just giving it just like that. So don't make the referral super easy, right? So maybe when, like for example, an e-com brand, there are e-com brands where you don't even have to buy with them, and they just give you $25 for referring someone. That's just a way too easier for a referral, right? But in my case, my referrals are done if someone actually is a customer. So they're actually happy with it. They're happier to refer. They're more qualified. So if you think about it that way, even when they refer, the person they're going to refer to is going to be more qualified, because now it's an actual customer. It's not just some random person sharing discount codes all around. Yeah, so I would do it that way. So really identify who you want to refer. It doesn't have to be for everyone. Don't try to mimic a referral program online. Think what makes sense for your business. What kind of referrals you want, and then what makes sense for you to offer. So for example, like your CAC is say $200. So your willingness to pay for a customer is $200, and maybe you're willing to pay $50 for a referral, $100 for a referral. You can make it super incentivized that way, right?
Got it. Amazing. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Marisha. I had a couple, but I want to be respectful of your time. So thanks again for joining. That was a great talk, really insightful. I know I took a lot of notes. I'm guessing a lot of the others too. So thanks again, Marisha. Thanks everyone for joining. And I hope that was useful to all of you.
Yeah, I'm also on the Slack. So if you have so I might not be able to answer some questions because I need really specific details of the business to give you better ideas. But I'm on Slack. So if you have a question that's specific to a product or an industry or stuff, you can just write to me on Slack and I'll respond there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Marisha.